We got to continue on, and we got to win this thing. And I'll do one thing too, since he mentioned Notre Dame. I wasn't planning to do this. But no, people ask me, why do you want to continue to do this? You know, it's not the easiest job in the world. There's a lot of hours. You're going from morning to night a lot of times. But many years ago, when I went to college, at Notre Dame, there's a lot of things they want you to do. They want you to be, graduate, be successful and everything. But the main thing they teach you there is the same thing that they told Father Soren when they told him to go march 300 miles north in Indiana and start a college. He said, you want to be an agent for good. And this is the best job I've ever found that makes things that are good for people. You can help schools and hospitals, universities, and normal citizens. You can help them out better than I've ever been able to in any other job I've ever had. So that's why I want to do this. And I hope you'll all be out there helping Paul. Thank you.
I love those guys from Notre Dame. I'll tell you, go Debs! Let's go Debs! Put it back in. And now we're going to hear from Mark again. Here he is.
I was getting my instructions from the Christine Fix. It's a little late. Your family, that's the theme of this fifth Blue extravaganza. It was suggested by John Williams. And once again, John has devoted so much of his time and energy to this party. Let's give him a round of applause. And with the family concept, we have Eric Kingsman here who ran such a valiant campaign. Joe Driscoll was part of the Verdi campaign, and we're awful glad to have him here tonight. When we think of family, we first think of our blood, but in the community aspect and the shared purpose of our party, we have the spirit and soul of a family. Sometimes it's a dysfunctional family, but usually, like tonight, we're working together for a common purpose. Many of us, like me, were born in as Democrats. My father was raised in orphanages and foster homes during the Depression. He was a straight-up New Dealer and a party activist, period. As a boy, many of the new curse words I learned from my father when he was referring to the Republican Party. My father taught me many things. He taught me to be responsible, to embrace responsibility. He taught me the value of education, to love learning. He taught me to work hard. He could never teach me how to love or embrace that, though. But the most important thing he and my mother taught me was that all human beings, regardless of race or gender, regardless of wealth or social status, are equal in the eyes of the Creator. In other words, they taught me how to be a Democrat. These democratic principles, community, patriotism, common purpose, and our democratic goals, economic and social justice, equality of opportunity, defense of our country, full employment, universal education and health care, and a healthy environment for us and for our children and grandchildren. And these principles and these goals are part of the living and moving spirit of our party now, as they were for those Democrats who have gone before us. And that's really what this election is about, isn't it? The defense and advancement of our time-honored principles and goals to advance these principles and goals into the future. And are we going to use the power of government to help expand prosperity? To rebuild our infrastructure? To renew our commitment to education? And to equal treatment under the law for all Americans, and that is the democratic way. Or are we going to weaken our government to the point where its only purpose is to redistribute even more wealth to the 1%? And that is not the democratic way. Christine Fix told me not to mention the other party. I already did once. I promise I won't mention it. The Republicans again. In Ted Kennedy's last speech to the Senate, he spoke of the corrupting influence of multinational corporate money on the people's government. And he asked, when does the greed stop? And that's what this election is about, brothers and sisters. The greed stops when we stop. So tonight, let us resolve tonight as a family to advance that purpose by electing Hillary Clinton. Don't think this isn't about women's rights. It's women's future in this country. Because she's the most qualified candidate that's ever run for president. And yet she's a death fight with the most incompetent person that ever ran for president. And it's about her being a woman. And that's the bottom line. Women need to stir their passions to get behind Hillary and Colleen and make sure that the days of the repression of women are over finally in this country. We need to elect Al Sturpey, Diane Dwyer, Joe Nicoletti, and all our great judicial candidates and state candidates. Let's put our government in the hands of people who know how to govern wisely and justly and in the interest of all of the working people. Speaking of justice, let's have our judicial candidates come up. Doherty make it? Promise to work. You know, if Steve Doherty, if everybody named Doherty votes for him, he's going to be 30% of the way to victory. We'll start with him. He's a fine city court judge. No, we won't. Excuse me. We'll start with Ted Lippert. Ted Lippert is running for Supreme Court. He's also a fine city court judge. He puts down here he's a scuba diver. I think we know him more for a combat pilot who served his country out of time. Ted, come right up here and speak, but don't lose my place.
Thank you, Mark. I'll be very brief. Thank you all for being here tonight. Your support is extremely important to Scott Del Conte and I. We worked very hard in this race. What we know is that the majority of the votes that are going to come in this 6-county race are going to come out of Onondaga. So we really need you out there working hard, because I know you're going to be working hard for the other candidates. Get them to stay on row A. And if we can do that, Scott Del Conte and I will be successful. We'll have 2 more Democratic Supreme Court judges here in Central New York. And I want to thank my wife also, who's my biggest champion out there. Thank you.
better, thank my wife again, Kathy, who came tonight, because I'll need a lawyer and a judge. But she's always been a great support. My sister's here, my nieces are here. It's great to have family support. Our next Supreme Court candidate, some of you may know, we had a lot of trouble getting our candidates on the ballot because of some of the shenanigans that the other party, not the Republicans, we'll talk about, the other party played, so we had to go to court, we had to spend money. This year we got started early. Ted Lippert and Scott Del Conte worked together as a team. And they're both eminently qualified to serve on the Supreme Court, and I'm proud to have met Scott and to have worked with him. And give him a warm welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm one of your neighbors to the north from Oswego County, and I'll tell you, when I'm down here, Mark, you're right. This is a big family. Your enthusiasm is contagious. Your passion is overwhelming. And again, it's been wonderful to get to know Ted. What a great individual. He's going to be a great Supreme Court justice. I'm so happy to be running with him. It's so great that I've got my wife here with me tonight, one of our biggest supporters from Oswego, Dennis Merlino. What I'd love to do is just bottle up this enthusiasm and take it back with us, because every time I'm down here, it's just so fantastic. So, as Ted says, you can send 2 Democrats to the Supreme Court if you stand in the lane. And in Oswego County, we have not had a Democrat in the Supreme Court since 1976. We need your help. So thank you very much.
We need to help both of these candidates. Judge George is a fine judge. One of the finest things I can say about him is he worked with my daughter. And he says he mentored her. Yeah, he did. He was a mentor to her. And he's a great judge. He's a great friend. And he's a hard worker. He's worked in the district attorney's office. He served for many years as a city court judge. His reputation is impeccable. And we're looking very much forward to having him on the county court. Steve?
Thank you, everybody, and thanks very much for coming out today. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the work of the Onondaga County Democratic Committee and all of you folks that help you've given all of us. It is overwhelming. You know, we run every 10 years, and every 10 years it's overwhelming the amount of help you get. But I'll say this. I hope that we all win. I hope all the Democrats win in Onondaga County throughout the district. But there's one race that we as Americans have to focus on, is the presidential race. Because we can harken back to the days of Johnson and Goldwater, but Barry Goldwater was a decent man. He was misguided, but he was a decent man. We don't have that this year. I think we have the scariest election in the history of this country. And we have to ensure we have to ensure
The next county court candidate is Jeff Lebo, who's been working so hard. He's been working with Judge Doherty. He's also an administrative law judge with the state, and a former prosecutor. Many years of service. He's a young man, but he's already devoted much of his time to public service. He's eminently qualified for the office he seeks, and he deserves our support. Let's make sure he gets some signs on the way out and volunteer help all these their candidates. Jeff?
Good evening. I just want to first thank the committee and everyone else who's provided me with so much support over the past year. It truly is an honor to be running on the Democratic ticket this year with so many outstanding candidates from the top top to bottom. And it's an honor to be running alongside Judge Doherty for County Court Judge. When I first started talking to people, when I was thinking about getting into this race, some people were questioning that decision, and they said, you know, look, you're not going to beat Steve Doherty, which means you're going to have to beat this Republican, Matt Thorne. You know, he's the chief homicide prosecutor. He's got Fitzpatrick behind him. He's going to be bringing in a ton of money. Are you sure you want to run? Are you sure you want to run this year? And my answer to that was, hell yes, I want to run this year. The reason for that is, as Democrats, we don't just go for the sure things. We don't just fight the fights we know we can win. We fight the fights that need fighting. Like Mayor Minor's fight to bring the issue of infrastructure from the back page to the front and center. And Assemblywoman Pam Hunter's fight. And Pam Hunter's fight to provide more support to our state's victims of domestic violence. So I'm out every night knocking on doors, meeting voters, and when I talk to them about my years of experience as a defense attorney, and I talk to them about my years of experience as a prosecutor and how that combined experience will allow me to approach these cases from an unbiased point of view. And I talk to them about my time working at the Center for Community Alternatives, where I became an expert in our state's drug laws and programs so that I could travel across the state teaching and training other lawyers about them. And I talked to voters about my judicial experience, how that will let me hit the ground running, and how the diversity of my experience will allow me to make decisions that are fair, and to help facilitate just and creative dispositions in the cases that come before them. Two individuals that win these county court seats will each be responsible for presiding over roughly 25% of all the felony criminal cases in this county. So I think it's a big deal, and we need to have the right people in this job. It's a fight that needs fighting. So that's what I'll be doing every day from now until November 8th. I'll be out fighting, doing everything I can to win this election. Thanks.
Joe Nicolani here? Yeah, he is. Okay. Yeah, he is. Come on up, Joe.
Go get it, Joey!
Joe, for many years of fine public service, needs our help again to return to the Common Council, his own right. And he'll be here before I run out of things to say. Joe Nicoletti, a great friend, a great friend.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I'm late. I had to attend a forum on disabilities, and I went to listen to the proposed Route 81 reroute routing through the city. Very interesting night. I am thrilled and honored to be asked to come back to the city council. People ask me why I wanted to come back, why I accepted it. And it's very simple. I think you all know how much I love this city and how important it is to me. But it's very important right now, and I see many of the councilors and the mayor in the audience, that what's really important tonight is we need to elect Hillary Clinton. One of the striking things that I've noticed since I've been back is how our cities are suffering. Not because of the president, but because of the deadlock in Congress. Because of the Republican majorities that have prevented us to do things in the city. Have prevented programs to provide better housing, more jobs, and better infrastructure for the cities. So we need to work as hard as we can, not just for those of us that are running locally, but we must remember that we need to elect Hillary, and we need to turn the House and the Senate back to the Democrats. And I'm ready for that. And I'm sure you are. So with that, I would say thank you very much for the honor to be on the ticket again. It's great to be back on the campaign trail. But let's keep on working hard, not only in Onondaga County, but if you got relatives like I do all over, I call them up and I tell them, get out and work for your Democratic candidates for the House and the Senate, as well as for Hillary and Kane, so we can restore this country to being great again. Thank you so much.
I'm going to introduce the mayor in a moment, and she's going to introduce Colleen. But I'm going to ask you that after Colleen speaks, to stick around for a while because we have a representative of the Hillary campaign that wants to address us. Our next speaker is a woman that I admire very much for her courage, for her charisma, for her great speaking ability. I ask her, whenever I ask her to show up and speak, she does it. She's a great supporter of the party. When I took office as chair in 2012, I had no experience within the power structure of the committee. I had no knowledge or familiarity with a lot of the politicians, a lot of our local elections. I had no money, so I had that going for me. But I did have Stephanie Meyer. She spearheaded the first Go Blue, helped finance the party. It was something I want her to know that I'm never going to forget. So let's give a warm welcome to the courageous mayor of Syracuse, New York.
I want to thank all of you for coming here tonight. As some of you may remember, I gave a speech 4 years ago. It's hard for me to believe that it was 4 years ago that got some notoriety. I had never watched that speech before, other than one line that was referenced. The first time I watched it from beginning to end was today. And you know what? I think it was a pretty good speech. Barack Obama was reelected, and we had some good Democratic victories that year in 2012. I want to thank Mark for all of the hard work that he does throughout the year for our Democratic Party. We are not an organized party, as the famous saying goes, we're Democrats. And he is always trying to organize what is essentially unorganizable. I want to thank all the people who worked hard today to organize this rally, who took names and sent out emails and went on the radio and collected checks, and of course all of you who came here tonight for what we have now